Let's talk about the prokaryotic cell now. So let's get back into that specific type of cell, and then we'll move on later in the week to the eukaryotic cell. So remember our domains. We have bacteria and archaea. They don't have the nucleus, and they're prokaryotes. And eukarya has a nucleus, and we'll go on to that later. So prokaryotes are the smallest and most metabolically diverse forms of life. They inhabit all regions of the biosphere. Many of the archaeans are adapted to really extreme environments. So the hydrothermal vents that are in the ocean, like off of the Marianas Trench, off the island of Guam, there's lots of archaeans that are habitating there. So prokaryotes are single-cell organisms with no nucleus, but many have a cell wall or one or more flagella or pili. We can see here, this is some of the diversity of bacteria. We have protein filaments, or pili, that are anchoring bacteria cells to one another. In this case, we have Salmonella. It's using their pili to invade human cells, to anchor themselves onto the human cells and get inside. Bad Salmonella. We also have this kind of bacteria encrusted with sugars on our teeth that hang on to our teeth using these structures. These bacteria are ball-shaped gnostic cells, and they're a type of freshwater photosynthetic bacteria. Okay, so that means they make their own energy by capturing sunlight. And they kind of are strand-like when they get together, and they have these secretions that keep them together. So there's quite a lot of diversity in prokaryotes, in bacteria as well as archaea. So these archaeans thrive in brine pools. So brine, who's ever brined food? Like pickles or their turkey, maybe? So when you put in a really super, super salty solution. So these particular archaeans, they thrive in these salty, super salty conditions. And this is saying saltier than soy sauce. You probably can taste some, you have a reference for that. And then these particular archaeans are thriving in superheated waters. So extreme environment, super salty, super hot. Okay? And they look different. Even though they're really simple, they have different shapes, and they're habitating in different environments. And there's a lot of diversity also in the archaea. So let's take a look at this body plan. For prokaryotes, we do have that cytoplasm. It contains ribosomes, the circular DNA in the nucleoid region, and it contains some additional genes as plasmids. We'll learn about those more later when we talk about biotechnology. Ribosomes are the organelle of protein synthesis. We've heard that already in the lecture today, and we're going to hear it more and more. You got to make proteins, because proteins are doing lots and lots of functions in life, and so you need to have an organelle that's making those proteins, and the ribosome is that organelle. Prokaryotes usually have a cell wall. It's a semi-rigid but permeable structure that surrounds the plasma membrane, okay? They don't all have cell walls, but some of them do. And this cell wall consists in prokaryotes of peptides and polysaccharides in bacteria and proteins in archaeans. Okay? Sometimes in bacteria, you'll have a sticky capsule of polysaccharides that surround the cell wall. So you have an additional layer that's controlling what's getting in and what's getting out. You also have surface extensions. They allow certain types of actions. So you can have pili. We talked about those. There's a way to invade another cell or to grab on. They help cells to cling or to move across surfaces. You also have flagella. This is an example of a flagellum, a single, long, slender cellular structure that's used for mobility. You can imagine kind of thinking of a fishtail. We'll talk even more detail about that later. So here's a prokaryote in action on your teeth, or maybe not because you have really good dental hygiene. I know you all do. There was a time in my life when I had really bad dental hygiene. Bad, called college. It's a bad time for me, for my teeth. They survived, but I'm sure I had lots of biofilm on them. So biofilms are shared living arrangements among bacteria and other microbial organisms that provide various advantages to that community. It doesn't provide an advantage to my teeth, but they work together to their community to have an advantage. So an example is dental plaque, and you can see here we have oral bacteria, yeast, and then it's all kind of glued together with these polysaccharides and hooks on your tooth. Doesn't let go. And like the book in my kid's dentist office says, the sugar bugs. When they get on there, they start a party, start digging out stuff, and you can't get them out. You never want to stop the party. So you don't want to get this stuff on your teeth. You want to get it up. So I try to convince my kids to brush, which my girl goes like this. I'm done. I'm like, no, that's why I turn the timer over. Gotta go for the whole time. She's like, I'm done. Oh no.